Thanks for downloading this episode of Cork Talk with me, Tim Atkin. A weekly conversation with some of the most famous people in the world of wine.
This podcast is brought to you in partnership with Noma Cork by Vinventions. Driven by a commitment to innovation, the new plant-based Noma Cork Green Line offers significant improvements in wine closure performance. Thanks to a rigorous oxygen ingress rate, you can decide which cork is best for your wine, whether it's for young and fresh wines or for those with ageing potential.
Interviewing Christoph Hammel is a lot of fun. Sometimes described as a cellar cabaret artist, he brings a theatrical flourish to everything he does. Our fascinating chat covered the climate and soil types of his native Pfalz, his long-term relationship with South Africa, his love of Riesling and Sauvignon Blanc, his plans to revive the fortunes of Liebfraumilch, and an insight into the wines they served in first class on the Titanic. Hello, Christoph, and welcome to Cork Talk. How are you?
I am very fine. I'm very happy. Hello, Tim, for this wonderful opportunity to talk to you today. And I'm actually in the best mood which is possible.
And you're in Kirchheim, aren't you? Which is where your family winery is and has been since 1723, isn't it?
That is correct. So the winery was founded 1723. So we have our 300th year anniversary this year, and it's a 10-generation family here, the family business. So I'm the 9th, and the 10th is in that second where we talk together in the cellar, busy pressing our last red wines, which have been nearly 4 weeks now, 3.5 up to 4 weeks. It's Cabernet. On the skins, and it's ready fermented now for going into the oak barrels. And last day of pressing today. That is nice for all of us.
So you're in a good mood, right? Well, that's good to hear, because there's lots to talk about with you on the podcast. I mean, I just wondered, was it always certain you joined the family business? You were the 9th generation. I've read that you were quite keen to go into the theatre at one point, weren't you?
Yeah, that is actually clear. I had a hard discussion with my parents. You see, my parents were very conservative. I actually wanted to study theater science. That was my big dream when I was young. But my parents said, at first you have to learn something decent, that you don't end up under a bridge or something like this, like a poor actor or something like this. So, yeah, and then I said, okay, then I'm doing it. And I fell deeply in love with that profession, or whatever you will call it. It's more than a profession. It's a feeling. It's a super emotion. And because winemaking is not only pulling a pipe from left to the right or cleaning vats, it's much more. And the nicest thing is, at the end of the day, for me to meet all over the world the nicest people in the wine business, mad people, super people with lots of emotions. They eat, they drink, they dance, they sing, they love life. And that's why actually the whole wine business is a stage. So I feel at home.
Well, because you're sometimes described as a cellar cabaret artist, which I like. And so there's still a bit of an actor in you, isn't there, in the way you dance and the way you perform on your website? I mean, you have fun with wine, right?
Yeah, of course. On the other side, I must say, you see, I'm responsible also here in the winery to make the jokes and keep the people in a good mood. And I like that job. So to say it like this, it's a little bit like a Monty Python show all the time here. But at the end of the day, we shouldn't take life too serious. We must take it serious. But on the other side, we have to be human still. And this is a wonderful part in the wine making as well.
I mean, it's interesting that you talked about your father and your father saying to you, you've got to be a winemaker, not yet an actor or a theatre director. And that you were sent, when you aged 17, to Klosterneuburg, which is not in Germany, but in Austria, near Vienna. How was that time for you? I mean, you've described it as unhappy to the point of death at one point, but you changed your mind pretty quickly, didn't you?
I I was nearly 18, not already 18. It's a school. It's the oldest wine school in the world, by the way. Founded in the middle of the 19th century, and as a wine school. And I came there to Vienna. And I still had a girlfriend here in the dorp and this kind of thing. I was young, so I was crying a little bit. But I must tell you, after I have learned to speak Austrian German, which is also an own language, after I have learned that, I think it's a little bit like somebody from London has to go to Wales, you understand? So when I learned that, I was very happy. The thing is, I made very quick friends. There are two important things. My mother was a fantastic chef. She cooked really fantastic. And eating and drinking was always very, very important in our family. And I came to Vienna, and Vienna is an international city. We have the UN there, the United Nations. It's OPEC there. It's an international, wonderful place, but with a big history. And it's the city with the most vineyards in the world in the city. It's 750 hectare under vines inside the city. And they cook fantastic. And, it looks like I was in the right place. So, the girls were nice. The food was good. The wine was good. So it's so easy to say, but I learned in that city also, art, the museums, youth style, all these kind of things. I had the biggest luck to go to end up there. And after I think a year, latest, not even a year, after half a year, I said to myself, I'm so lucky and it's so fantastic, and I love to go to the wine school there. And it was a gift at the end of the day.
I mean, another gift to you, in a sense, was this link you've had with South Africa. And that's how I became aware of you, because you did your first overseas harvest, I think, at Delheim in South Africa. And you turned 21 there, didn't you? I mean, that must have been a pretty turbulent time to be in South Africa, wasn't it?
Yeah, the thing is, 1900. We mustn't forget. We in Germany, we don't have this strong view or this focused view on Africa, like in England, the people, for example, because it was part of the British Empire, it's part of the Commonwealth, South Africa. So there are strong relationships. When I came there in 1985, there was state of emergency. There was this riots in Soweto, where people were killed. There was tanks standing at the airport. Jesus Christ, that was quite exciting. But in Stellenbosch, on the countryside, you felt nothing from it. But there was a change in the society. I mean, we mustn't forget that 5 years later, Nelson Mandela was released out of prison. And by the way, I landed at the airport in Cape Town for my next job after I studied. I stayed 2 years in South Africa with Koopmanskloof Wine Estate. I landed on that day when Nelson Mandela was released out of prison. And that was history. From
Pfalz prison in Franschhoek, yeah?
Yeah, I know. In Koopmanskloof is also in Stellenbosch. Yeah. But I landed exactly on that day. That was anyway a year unbelievable, because the German wall came down. Nelson Mandela was released out of prison. And Germany became world soccer champion. And I remember celebrated that in Stellenbosch with all these Namibian students. And that was absolutely, that was super. But the thing is, 1985, I was young. It was my first practical training. It was necessary with a study. We had to go 3 months in a winery to work there. And I had the chance, over some relations, over my parents, with the Sperling family, to go to South Africa. And that was very exciting. And I fell in love with this country from the first second. But I must say, if you don't fall in love with South Africa, you don't have a heart. I mean, then you must be dead or something.
I think that's very true. I agree with that.
Yeah. And I'm still loving it. It's also like a second home to me.
I mean, and you work with two very famous people, Kevin Arnold, who was the cellar master at Delheim, and then Spats Sperling, who was the owner of Delheim. And you learned, I think, a lot from those guys. And you're now working with his kids, aren't you, on a wine called Staying Alive Riesling. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. The thing is actually that, of course, this friendship was never dying or something like this. Of course, you don't see each other anymore so often. I had to thank Mr. Sperling a lot, because he organized me my second job after I studied. My study were finished. I said, okay, for a last harvest, quickly to South Africa. And then it turned out to 2 years. As a winemaker, top job at Koopmanskloof. They had 55 hectare, 550 hectare. 550 hectare under vines. So that was a big responsibility. And I learned so much by doing. You understand what I'm trying to say? I've grown up there, and that was really fantastic. And so I meet the children now. When I was there, Nora Sperling was 16 and I was 20. And now we are nearly grandpa and grandma. And we meet from time to time at several auctions here in Germany. She's having a lot of, Delheim has a lot of clients in Germany. So we meet on wine shows or the Pro Wine in Düsseldorf or wherever. And so, of course, you talk to each other, and I said, why don't we make something together, and so on. And now that the new generation is taking the winery over, I have a little bit more time to go. I had the opportunity. She asked me, hey, come over, let's make a wine together. I said immediately, yes, fantastic. And it was so nice to go back to South Africa and really do something, not only talk about it. We bottled, and that is super, and I'm loving it.
It's a fantastic wine, but why Staying Alive? Why is it called Staying Alive?
I'm a Bee Gees fan. That's the first thing. So, okay. I know this is a wine show here, but when you want to do yourself something good, you have to see Barry Gibb on the Glastonbury Festival playing live. It's so unbelievable. These people are going mad there. And the thing is, when Nora said, let's make a Riesling, you must see the Riesling was in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. A wine, the Rhine Riesling, the Weißer Riesling, the classical Riesling, was a wine which was on the table in South Africa. It was grown there. And this wine was always off-dry because the people thought this is the German style. It has to be some residual sugar in it. Yeah, it's this off-dry, and it must have petrol after this classical petrol tone after 1 or 2 years, like a diesel tank, and very old-styled. And this grape variety totally went out of fashion. And now, in South Africa, we have 170 hectares. This is nothing under wines. And Delheim, with their big tradition of noble late harvest, they have still the oldest blocks of Rhine Riesling there, and fantastic blocks on a super soil. And so it was, for me, with Nora and the winery and all the people there, really a big pleasure to bring new breath into this whole thing.
Keep it alive. I like it.
That's why I said we stayed alive. We are still there. Yeah, the old family wine estates. I mean, this is also something when you go to South Africa, and of course you see projects like Waterford or Tokara, and this, rich people coming, which is good that people invest into the wine industry. Yeah, who actually don't come from there. They make their money in the computer industry or wherever, but they give a lot of effort there inside. The whole market is grown. Then they build up top wineries and so on, but the old traditional family wine estates, they keep the spirit. You understand what I'm trying to say?
I do.
And they represent the whole heart of the whole place. And Delheim is still there. And or Simonsiech, all these people. And we also, or the family de Waal, So, and we also, and this is, we are still alive. The Riesling is still alive. Our passion will not die. This fire will not go off. Yeah. So staying alive, the rhythm is nice of that song. Everything fits together. That's why I have chosen that name for that wine. It. And I think the people are loving it.
They do. It's a great wine. 1991, you went back to the family winery to take over. I just wonder, what did you change? Did you change the styles? Did you change the packaging? All your wines now are under screw cap. How quick were the changes? And was it easy to change given that your father presumably was still there as well, was he?
The first thing is in a traditional winery, nothing is more stable than the change. And, every generation who comes up next to the old one wants to get out of that what the old ones had done. So they want to create their own thing because they make wine for their generation. I made wine for my generation. So it would be ridiculous now that I, with 60 years, try to make wine which is sexy for people who are 28. This is ridiculous, yeah? So I think Tinder is a chocolate bar, you understand? So I have they speak a totally different language than me. what I'm trying to say is at the end of the day, of course, I changed in the winery a lot. The style of the wines, the technique has changed. We had no cooling for that example. We didn't have any cooling for the fermentation. And with the cooling, that was a complete new step that we had the chance to put a lot of grapes on the skins after harvesting for 24 hours, 36 hours, and so on. We didn't have that. Now we're having it, of course, or I brought that on the map. The labels, of course, they don't look like 1950 anymore. I mean, they look like they have been out of the Führerbunker, and now it's modern and it's, yeah. So, and the thing is, we have a retro wave now again. So it's sometimes even funny to take the old labels again.
Put them back on again.
The thing is that the new generation has to change the things. And this is your responsibility of the older generation to step back. You still give them a hand. You still give them advice. You are allowed to say something. This is a free country. It's democratic. When I think this is shit what they're doing, then I tell them. But I said to them, listen, boys, you have done a perfect study at university. You have worked in Napa Valley and this and that. It would be ridiculous if I come now with my old knowledge, or older knowledge, and tell you now what to do. By the way, we pumped a lot of money on your education. Now bring it back, please. So I want to go to South Africa, and make a holiday.
And have a rest. Yeah, listen to the Bee Gees.
But the thing is, they must create now their way. And if you come the whole time and you tell them what to do, they will get depressed. This is not a good thing. You must give them wind in the back that they can fly and not stop them or put brakes on them.
Sorry, I was going to ask a little bit about the Pfalz, which is where you are. And some people will know, obviously, that it's a German region, but a lot of people listening to the podcast won't have been there. Can you just tell us a bit about the climate and the soil types and the geography of the place?
Yeah. So the Pfalz region is 2,000 years ago, the Romans brought the wine to us. So we are a 2,000-year-old wine region, which is located around about 100 kilometers in the south of Frankfurt. So when you land in Frankfurt, you are in 50 minutes here. It's very close to the French border, the Alsace region. So you have Strasbourg around the corner. We can go there for shopping. What we do, Camembert, of course, we buy there. And so this region is actually the Rhine Valley can become very, very hot in the summer. So we faced in the last years temperatures over 40 degrees. This is South Africa then a little bit, but I have the knowledge how to handle hot climate. So it's okay, but it's still, of course, cool climate. So the thing is, there is the climate change. We are harvesting now mainly in September. We harvested when I was a child mainly in October. So everything becomes earlier and this and that. Our soils are 99.99% is limestone. And because it used to be a sea million years ago, the Rhine Valley was a sea, and that's why limestone, sand also, sand, limestone, and löss. Löss is also very, very much here, and especially in my dorp or around my dorp at the northern part of the Rhine-Palatine wine route. There you find a lot of löss. And these soils are very rich. So when you go near to the Rhine River, then you have more löss and you have more sand. And when you go more up the hills on the side, then you have a lot of limestone also, very, very lot of limestone, because that was the beaches. It's a little bit like the White Cliffs of Dover, you understand? So right. Something like this. Yeah. So this is perfect for Riesling, of course. This is perfect for varietals which have a lot of aroma, like a Sauvignon Blanc. And it's a perfect Pinot Noir place.
Certainly is. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the influence of the mountain. There's a Hart Mountain. It's called the Hart Mountain, which is a continuation of the Vosges, isn't it?
We call it mountains, but people from Switzerland or Austria, they laugh themselves to death when they. So because our highest mountain is 680 meters. Okay, for a British, that is already something. So but 680. No, but the thing is, of course. that these slopes, let's call it a slope, to the forest on the side. When I look out of the window, I look on a forest, and that forest called Hart is the biggest connected forest in whole Europe. Because when I go into that forest and I go down south, I will end up at the Côte d'Azur, and I will be all the time in the forest, because it goes into the Black Forest, then it goes into the Vogesen, La Vosges, in France, and so on. So, and when you go towards that let's say this bigger hills, let's call it this, like 390 meters above sea level, 400 meters above sea level. Yeah. When you go up there, sandstone, limestone, sand, they're wonderful. Then you have really perfect blocks for Riesling, Pinot Noir. It's not Cabernet country. Chardonnay, of course, loves it. It's a little bit like in like these valleys, like the Gironde or the Loire. This is very similar. And
it's good for lots of styles of wine, isn't it? In a way.
One thing is clear. If people would like to plant Riesling in the Loire Valley, it would be a super Riesling. But it's not traditional there. It's not a grape varietal, which is now there common. Nobody is planting it there, but it would be.
It would work.
Yeah. So that's why also here Chardonnay loves this place.
How many wines do you make? And I looked on your website, which is fantastic, by the way. It's a really entertaining site. I mean, how many different wines do you make, and how many of those are from individual parcels, these sort of crew?
I have too much wines, far too much. Unfortunately, the thing is, what means unfortunately, this is the problem in Germany. As I said, I'm always jealous on a winemaker in Bordeaux. They go to bed with one wine and they stand up with one wine with Chateau Latour finish and Glas. Here we have, the first thing is we have all these grape varietals. You have Riesling. Now, Sauvignon Blanc is extremely popular in Germany, extremely popular, and it grows here perfectly. We have Chardonnay, we have Pinot Blanc. Jesus Christ, what we all have. So, and Germans love this single varietal thing. So, so when it comes to white wine, then you have a Chardonnay, you have a Riesling, you have that, and you have to have it. I mean, you can try to say I'm specializing myself in a grape varietally. On the underside, you must say, we have that wonderful soils for everything. The market wants it. We are living from it. So why not? So we used to be here a pure red wine region until 1950. We produced only red wine. Then we started with Riesling and Silvaner. Silvaner is a very classical grape varietal here. But now we have all these modern grape varietals. At the end of the day, to come a little bit quicker, perhaps, to a question like that you will ask me. The thing is that in Germany, very, very extremely popular are the Burgundy-styled grape varietals like Pinot Gris. Pinot Gris is the most sexy grape varietal in Germany, what the people want. Pinot Gris, Pinot Blanc, Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, and Rosé. This is extremely hip.
And Pinot Noir, Spätburgunder, Pinot Noir as well, of course.
Yeah, Pinot Noir is a very intellectual grape varietal. Are we honest? It's not easy to drink. I mean, if you bring people to a table and you want to make a nice, easy evening, you have nice steaks in the pan and the people sit around the table and they are not wine freaks or wine experts. Normal, nice people, they enjoy a glass of wine. So what do you put on the table? You put Southern France on the table. You will not put Bourgogne on the table. It's expensive and it's very intellectual. Yeah. So, it's much more easier to drink nice, fresh, not fresh, but fruity and soft wines from the south. Yeah. And this is here the same.
I mean, your range has a bit of everything in it. You said you can't remember how many wines there are. But
there are around about 50. We have 50, a little bit like 50 wines on the wine list, 50.
Yeah, I mean, and I love the fact that you're not afraid of making commercial wines as well as top-end wines in the Grosses Gewächs. Do you take the same approach to both?
Absolutely. I mean, this is the holy thing, what you say now for me, because it's for me unbelievable that I stand up in the morning and I go to the cellar and I say to my team, listen, today we make the everyday consumption wine. shit. We don't have to put any effort in it. It's the normal kack wine. Come forget it. For the people who have no knowledge. Oh, this wine is for the wine shows. Oh my God. Yeah. Now we have to, don't talk too loud in the cellar and this kind of thing. Yeah. This is ridiculous because the people deserve a good wine. When they pay money, they deserve a good wine. And I'll tell you something. I don't drink every day a Grand Cru and I make a big monkey dance and a church service around every bottle. I come home in the evening. I make myself something nice to eat with my wife. The children are out of the house, so we are happy now. So everything is freedom and peace. And we open up a bottle of wine, which is around about €6, €7, €8. And this is what I drink 99%. And then you make yourself something nice to eat. And the life is wonderful. Who can afford every day a bottle for €25 or something? It's ridiculous.
Not many people. Tell us a little bit about one of the things you've done, which is amazing, which is your sort of Riesling revival. It's your Liebfraumilch revival project. Yeah. You make these two Liebfraumilches, don't you, called White Madonna and Black Madonna. I mean, I love the fact that Liebfraumilch, which lots of people think, oh God, it's terrible, it's cheap, it's sweet, it's basic.
Absolutely.
You've said it's not. It's got a history, right?
Yeah, the thing is, actually, I never produced in the former times Liebfraumilch. It was for me a cheap export wine, sweet, cheap, produced like toast bread, industrial, without love, and so on. I knew, of course, we all knew this here, and also a lot of people in England, that this wine had a big history. It started 300 years ago, but I go a little bit now further. Okay, when you go on www.liebfraumilch.de, then you see the whole story. Also in English, I opened my heart for this site, put a lot of money in it because, but the thing is, 6 years ago, I sat with a cup of coffee after lunch. And I was surfing a little bit in the internet and I came to this Liebfraumilch story and I said, oh, nice. And then I read one sentence, and I stood in flames, because this sentence said, this is wine law, okay? It's law. A Liebfraumilch must have a minimum of residual sugar of 18 grams a liter. And the wines you get on the shelf, they have 60 or 70 grams per liter. And I thought that this wine has to be sweet. And everybody told me, oh, this fucked up, cheap, sticky, sweet bullshit. Yeah. For people who have no knowledge about wine, they drink it like lemonade. And now I saw, wait, it mustn't be sweet at all. 18 grams is off dry. It's got nothing to do with sweet. Far away from it, especially when it's Riesling driven with the acidity and so on. And now, and this is a very important fact, the Liebfraumilch is the mother of the wines in Germany. It used to be the wine who put Germany on the map. It was the favorite wine of Queen Victoria. She was married to Albert of Saxon, Coburg-Saxon. So everything on the yard at that time from Germany was hip. And this wine, she loved it. The German Emperor Wilhelm II, who was a grandchild of her, drank this in Berlin. It was on the Hindenburg. It was on the Titanic first class. This was a wine which was 1910 as expensive as Chateau Latour or Chateau Margaux or Boulanger Champagne and so on. And we fucked this wine completely up after Second World War because this wine had this unique, let's say, off-dry, super balanced taste and lots of mouthfeel with relatively low alcohol, 11.5. And we fucked it up because the Americans and the British were mad about this wine. And because of this unique taste, and then the Germans imported or exported hundreds of millions of bottles, and they made it sweeter and sweeter that also non-wine drinkers start to drink it. And of course, the price went down. It was we tipped over with our ass what we built up with our head over generations. This is what happened. And the reputation of this wine was totally fucked up. And when I read this sentence that it mustn't be sweet and that I have the opportunity to make this wine with the same love and spirit, this unique taste wine with the same love and the same spirit, what this made this wine great long time ago, and what this wine made him so famous at the court of Queen Victoria, and the best hotels in the world, and the Orient Express and First Class Super. Then I will do it. Of course, everybody said, what are you smoking? Yeah. Jesus Christ. It's a dead horse. And I said, no. It's original. It's actually the mother of the wine. Of course, we are doing here a top Chardonnay in Barrique and so on. But this is not authentic. This is an authentic thing. And, so I did it. Everybody said, oh, this is not a very good idea, whatever. I started it. And now I'm doing 100,000 bottles a year. I'm with my Black Madonna, which is the top of this range. It's really a wine. I treat it really like a child. I take it in my arms. It's a wine which is made from 40 to 70-year-old wines. It lies for 2 years in big old traditional oak vats on the lees and so on. This wine is listed in Michelin star restaurants, because it's the best wine for sushi and sashimi. So it's great, and it's a wonderful taste.
I think it's a great story, isn't it? Let's talk a little bit about Riesling, because I think the Pfalz is the region which has the largest plantings of Riesling in Germany. Are most of the styles dry?
Yeah. Definitely. The sweet Rieslings made Germany, let's say, very, very famous during the 19th century, the 20th century. Yeah, of course. But now it's dry. But it's 99% is dry. Let's say 90% is dry, or 95% at least is dry.
And are your best wines Rieslings, would you say?
The best wine is, I always say, the best wine is what the people like most, and what they like. So when I do a wine tasting, then I always say to the people, listen, the best wine, and I can talk to you now until I'm blue in my face, and I'm the best wine expert in the world and whatever. The best wine in the world is what you like most, and I don't care where you bought it and what it cost. If you are happy with that wine, I'm happy as well. So that's the first thing. But the best wine, I would say, for me personally, my best wine is the Black Madonna. And the young people would say here, who take now over, it's our top block Riesling, because they are sometimes more conservative than the old man. It's also funny.
So what's your top block?
Yeah.
What's your most famous block of Riesling?
Yeah, it's the Mandelpfad, the Mandelpath, the almond path, it's called. We have 20,000 almond trees standing outside, 20,000, and 25,000 fig trees. As I told you, we are very hot in summer here. It's wonderful. You think you are in southern Italy, and we have a long summer. And that's why we have peaches, we have apricots. That's normal. We are very Mediterranean here, and but it's a continental climate. And this block has really a perfect soil. My grandfather rented that block. It's not mine. It's rented from the church. It belongs to the church, but we have it as a contract for nearly 100 years. And so this block is top, and this one is a Riesling which is made, let's say, in the style of Bassermann Jordan. Bassermann Jordan is a very famous winery in Germany,
and one of the three Bs of the Pfalz, right? Yeah.
Yeah, my nephew worked there, who is now the boss in the cellar, the young man. I also employed two friends of him from the university. And these three guys are rocking now the cellar here, and I'm the most happiest man in the world. And for them, it's a holy place. They love it. I must say, I am a Sauvignon Blanc maniac. I can say that I love seafood platters and grilled fish, lemon garlic butter, and the ice cold Sauvignon Blanc. No salad, no bread, just the fish and the wine, and lots of it. And then I'm happy.
You're making me feel hungry. I mean, you've got this wine. You've got this wine tavern, haven't you? You know, you're very big on tourism, and I like your idea that the best wine is the wine that people like most. The website is all important. Do you think that a lot of wineries don't realise how important it is to keep in contact with consumers and to sell your wine, to persuade them to follow you on a journey?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that now all the wineries are very, very professional. The young people, they study. Okay, in 2,000 years of wine history in Germany, but also in France or go to Italy or wherever you go. Yeah. The people never had a better education at the wine universities and at the wine school. And we mustn't forget, to become a farmer and to take that risk is nothing for everybody, especially in these times where the people are dreaming of home office and 4 days work in a week and this kind of thing here in Germany, because this is 7 days a week. And you can't make wine or agriculture in the home office. It's not possible. And when your vine is saying, I have to be pruned, then you have to go out. If you're ill or whatever, nature is ruling you. So not everybody wants it. So of course the farm, we become less vintners, less farmers everywhere in Europe. The farms become bigger and more professional. And there had been never in history more professionality as today, and more also, let's say, advertising or this kind or social media. I mean, since long we have social media, so now they are trained in that. For them, it's normal to be at TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and all this kind of thing. So that's normal. I must say, it's nice to see for me. I'm very happy. I'm not looking only on my wine estate. I'm looking around everywhere, and the more professional wine estates we have, the better it is for the whole industry. And it was never better than in these days. I think there is no bad wine anymore. It's only a wine perhaps you don't like or the other ones don't like. But really bad wines? No, I don't think so. Become very, very less. And the quality was never better and never in history more affordable. We mustn't forget who could afford 1960 or 1910 or 1890 a bottle of wine on the table. Yeah. So now you can go to the discount and you buy one for €2.99 and you will not die if you drink it. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, it's affordable, and for 5, 6, 7 euros. For €7, you get a decent bottle of wine in Germany. Of course, in the shop.
I wish it were the same in England. We've got a problem with taxation, really.
Oh, the taxation.
Man. That's another podcast on its own.
No, that's 100 podcasts.
Exactly. Listen, final question. What are your interests outside wine? I know you like going to South Africa to be involved with Delheim. How else do you get away from the day job? Do you need to get away from the day job, or is it all-consuming, as we say in English?
Actually, I must say, I think I end with a start. This wine to be in the wine industry is extremely complex. So just to give you an idea, I go now to Vienna. So when we finished here with the podcast, I will go into my car and I drive to Vienna to the Austrian wine competition. We won a prize there. I will be there in the town hall on Thursday for People Wine. 3,000 people are coming. 3,000. Yeah, with other wineries, other prize winners. So I meet a lot of people there. We will have big fun. We will eat a lot. We will be drunk. It will be wonderful. The next thing is I'm in Berlin on the German Television Prize. I will meet all the actors there, the film people. So then you are on concerts because you're sponsoring here or sponsoring there. You meet so many people. It's so colorful. And I must say, when I go for a holiday somewhere, it's very, very often into wine regions. There is a lot of culture. The kitchen is wonderful. The weather is wonderful. I'm older and I'm more relaxed. And, so I enjoy the wine industry, and it's not for me only, I have to make my fortune there and this and that. Yeah. So let's open a bottle. Hey, there are some olives on the table, nice people around. Hey, what should I expect more from life? It's wonderful.
I think that's a fantastic note on which to end. Listen, Christoph, it's been amazing talking to you. Your passion is just so infectious for wine. I love the labels. I love all the projects. You know, what you've done with Liebfraumilch. It's obvious that you're having fun, and I'm glad you didn't become an actor, but instead you became a winemaker. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
What a character. The wine world needs more people like Christoph. Next week on Cork Talk, my guest is Larry Cherubino from Larry Cherubino Wines in Western Australia. Join me then.
Thanks for listening to Cork Talk. If you want to read more reports, articles and tasting notes by me, go to my website, timatkin.com. You can also follow me on Twitter @timatkin and on Instagram @timatkinmw. See you next week.